Mark Manson's views on self-development are quite different than other people we hear that talk about self-development. And I think they're very interesting and definitely worth looking at, which is why today we're going to go over 5 life lessons that Mark Manson came up with. So the first life lesson would be that problems shouldn't be avoided, and we shouldn't try to avoid them because, well, firstly, we can't. They're always going to be there no matter what. Instead, try finding better problems and find problems that you actually enjoy solving. Something you find fun, even though other people find that it's extremely hard work. Basically, those who enjoy the physical struggle, those will become athletes. Those who like writing, even though other people hate that, will become writers, and so forth. And then the second one is that people very often get responsibility mixed up with fault. They think that saying that you're responsible for something means that it's your fault. But as Mark Manson explains, it's not like that. If, for example, someone, which is kind of cruel, leaves a baby in front of your door, and if you don't take care of the baby will die. It's not your fault that this person just put their baby in front of your door, but it's still your responsibility to take care of the child and make sure it doesn't die. In real life then, it's the bad things, the trauma you've gone through in your life isn't your fault, but it's still your responsibility to deal with those things, to take what life hands you, and even though some of it is bad, still try to make the most of it. And then the third one is that Mark Manson strongly disagrees with that confidence leads to success. As he writes in his book, there are many overly confident people who talk about what they're going to do all the time but never actually get around to doing that. And basically, if you're too confident, then you feel entitled, and that basically makes you a narcissist. Now, what's really funny, when I was reading his book, first he described, the overly confident people and said how they're narcissists, and what do I know? And I was like, thank goodness I'm not one of those people. But then when I went on to read it, he was like, and then on the other hand, they're these people who always put themselves down and say they're the absolute worst, and there's no one who's even worse than they are, and says, well, those are actually also they're also kind of egocentric and also kind of narcissistic. Because if you actually look at it, and unfortunately I kind of have to agree, even though they're kind of opposite, they both actually lead to the same conclusion. It's basically those who are overconfident, believe that I'm special, I'm better than everyone else, I deserve so much more, I'm entitled to getting what I want, I'm so great, I deserve special treatment. Whereas the ones who are like me, probably. So yes, unfortunately, it seems that I'm kind of narcissistic. Or maybe I'm just putting myself down for being narcissistic, who knows. Those who think that they're worse than everyone else, who think that they're the worst people on planet Earth. I'm so bad, I'm a hopeless case, poor me. I need someone else to fix me. I need so much help, I also need special treatment because I'm so bad. And then the fourth one would be that it might actually be better to kind of say no to things and to commit to one lifestyle or one thing. Mark Manson explains in his book how he used novelty actually in a way to distract himself. Because basically the first countries he went to, he felt really great about those. But then when he travelled more and more, when he got to, let's say, the 52nd country, it wasn't special for him anymore because he's already been to so many countries. And though it was very fun, it wasn't necessarily very meaningful. And how now he prefers commitment and saying no to things, simply because, well, he believes that focus leads to success. But also because if you're really passionate about something, then you're going to love it enough to be willing to say no to other options because of that, because it is important to us. So basically, by saying no to other things, you're making what is important to you a priority and giving it more attention. What's the point of living a life in which you don't find anything important simply because you say yes to any option that comes your way? It's very important to say no, especially when it comes to relationships, because if you don't set boundaries, well, the other person isn't probably going to treat you very well because you actually teach other people how they treat you. But also because even if they mean well, you're going to not tell them and they're not going to know what to change. And you're just going to build up this resentment over time, and then someday you'll go in tantrum. And then the fifth one would be that pain actually, even though it's very painful, obviously, that it's actually very valuable. Because often it's the case that what hurts us the most is, for example, criticism that we know is kind of true. We usually derive our meaning from pain. Many people somehow think that passion is this blissful thing where everything works exactly as you want it to be, but actually passion comes from the Latin and means suffering. Having something that you find so valuable, so important, that you're willing to suffer for it. And also failure hurts a lot, but failure is extremely important if you want to be successful because it's way easier to learn from mistakes. Now, if you want to know more about how to find your passion, you can watch this video here.